Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are wrestling with, well, a pretty universal problem, dealing with bullies and haters.
Yeah, we've all encountered them, haven't we?
For sure. And usually the advice we get is all about, taking the high road or just smiling through the pain.
Right. But today we're digging into a single source that offers a radically different approach.
Sweet.
Practical and frankly, completely no holds barred, a real playbook for self-protection.
Okay, interesting. So what's the mission here?
Well, we're unpacking advice that really challenges the conventional stuff. We are moving way past just kill them with kindness.
Okay.
The central idea, the whole philosophy really, is that the only actual power a bully or hater has, it's the power you give them.
How so?
Through your fear, your reaction, how much you engage with them. If we can figure out how to remove that fuel, we strip them of everything.
That sounds simple, maybe in theory, but incredibly hard to do in practice. How do you even start? How do you strip away that power?
It starts with what the source calls the power of the bubble. It means complete active detachment.
Active detachment.
This isn't just, glancing past a nasty comment. It's a real commitment to actively not knowing what's being said about you. The creator of this content is super clear. I do not read my comments. I don't know what is being said about me.
Wow. So it's not just about being resilient to the negativity, but deliberately blinding yourself from it. That sounds pretty radical, like extreme self-preservation.
It is, definitely. The goal is, and this is a direct quote, to upgrade your life in silence. The source argues that every bit of energy you spend engaging or defending yourself or even just checking what they're saying, it's all energy wasted.
An energy you could be using elsewhere.
Exactly. Energy that could be making your own life demonstrably better. You stop giving them the attention they so desperately crave by, well, literally not showing up in their space.
Okay, and if we look at why they crave that attention, the source has a pretty harsh take on hater motivation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It argues that successful, genuinely happy, confident people, they just don't have the time or, frankly, the need to write nasty comments or start rumors.
So who does?
Well, what's fascinating here is the language the source uses. It calls haters miserable, ugly-looking gremlins.
Gremlins, seriously, that's intense.
It is. And that language, it's intentionally dehumanizing. But the point isn't just to be cruel. It's actually a psychological tactic.
A tactic for who? For the person being bullied?
Yes, exactly. To reduce the bully's perceived status and power over you.
Ah, I see. So by framing them as pathetic and envious, you change your internal dialogue. It's less, what did I do wrong, and more.
More like, wow, look how fundamentally unhappy they must be to act this way.
Right, that makes sense.
Exactly. They're driven purely by jealousy and envy because they're miserable in their own lives. And this reframing leads to maybe one of the most surprising takes on negative attention.
Which is?
The source suggests you should think of haters not as enemies, but as super obsessed fans.
Super obsessed fans. That sounds counterintuitive. Fans who hate you.
Well, yeah, but think about it. They spend so much time watching you, waiting for any tiny mistake.
Okay.
They're providing this incredibly dedicated engagement that, normal casual fans just don't. The source points out, these people watch your content constantly, specifically searching for something to twist, something to take out of context and maybe run with for years.
So every time they attack you, they're actually proving you're relevant.
Precisely. They prove your relevance every single time they dedicate energy to criticizing you.
Which ties right into that classic line the creator uses. Something about being talked about.
Yeah, the Oscar Wilde quote, essentially. There's one thing worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about.
Right. Silence means you're irrelevant.
Exactly. Being talked about, even negatively, means you're making some kind of impact. It's actually essential for success, in a way.
It's a really powerful perspective shift, then. It's about choosing whether you see that attention as, damaging noise or just background confirmation that you're doing something significant.
You got it. The focus is always, always on reclaiming your own agency. You decide what it means.
Okay, this leads us into what you mentioned is maybe the most controversial part. Rejecting empathy and kindness. That feels like it goes against everything we're usually told.
It absolutely does. The source explicitly says, do not have empathy for the bully.
Wow. Okay.
It goes against almost all conventional wisdom, right? But the creator uses a really potent distinction to back this up. The difference between experiencing trauma and the choice of how you act because of it.
And they share that really personal story, don't they? About being abused daily by a parent, but choosing not to pass that abuse on.
That's the core argument. That's the psychological basis. The creator points out that, yeah, life can be unfair. People absolutely experience trauma. Like, they mention a high school girl who bullied the creator because her father left. But that trauma, however real, doesn't automatically give someone a free pass to inflict harm on others.
So, you're not denying their pain, but you are denying it as an excuse for their bad behavior now.
Precisely. The source actually defines choosing to overcome trauma, to not perpetuate abuse, as actual strength.
And the alternative, bullying because you were hurt.
That gets labeled a victim mindset. According to this playbook, if someone uses their past pain to justify inflicting new pain, they fundamentally forfeit any claim to your empathy in that moment, regardless of their history. The responsibility for the harmful actions, it rests entirely with the person choosing to do them.
Okay, so you take that empathy, that valuable resource, and you redirect it entirely towards yourself.
Yes. You protect your own peace. You acknowledge, hey, I'm being treated badly here. And you prioritize self-empathy first. Your safety, your sanity comes first.
And that explains why, according to this source, the whole kill them with kindness approach just fails.
Fails spectacularly, is how they put it. The source argues these types of people actually interpret niceness as a threat or weakness.
The threat. How?
They don't understand kindness. They often see it as weakness, maybe even mockery. It just makes them angrier, more upset. It escalates things instead of calming them down.
And the creator had a personal example of that, right?
yeah.
Trying to be nice to the abusive parent.
Yeah, and it resulted in the worst scolding of her life. Kindness, when you're dealing with certain personalities, it just confirms their narrative that they are the ones being provoked or messed with.
It validates their need to control or lash out.
It's like offering a gift they literally aren't equipped to receive or appreciate. It just bounces off, or worse.
Okay, so if kindness is out, what's the proactive strategy? You mentioned the mirror principle.
Yes, that's the core strategy. Mirror them. Now, this needs a bit of nuance. It's not about being overtly nasty back or, starting a fight.
Right.
It's about maintaining psychological distance and matching the energy they give you, specifically their transactional coldness.
Can you give an example, like the coworker one?
Sure. If a coworker is being passive-aggressive, you respond with that same level of detached, passive-aggressive energy. If someone's texting you and being really cold and dry, you respond in kind. Brief, dry communication back.
So you refuse to overcompensate, to be the warm, friendly one trying to bridge the gap.
Exactly. You refuse. You're sending two messages. First, that you're immune to their games. You won't be drawn into chasing their approval. And second, it forces them to see their own behavior reflected back.
Yeah, like holding up a mirror, literally.
Pretty much. And often, seeing their own toxic behavior mirrored is actually enough to make them stop, because they realize the manipulation isn't getting the reaction they wanted. It's not working anymore.
That's actually a fascinating psychological tactic. And tied to this mirroring, the source also stresses an absolute information lockdown. Like, never try to befriend these people.
Oh, absolutely critical warning. The source puts it chillingly. Anything you say will be used against you.
Seriously. Like a police warning.
Basically. Don't share personal details, vulnerabilities, hopes, fears, not even pictures of your family. The philosophy is pretty stark. Someone who fundamentally hates themselves will eventually try to destroy happiness around them. You must maintain rigid boundaries. Never, ever give them ammunition they can use later.
Okay, rigid boundaries mirroring. And the core psychological shift needed for all this, it's about eliminating fear, right? Because fear is their main weapon.
That's the absolute linchpin. This is the moment of reckoning. Bullies, abusers, they feed off your fear. The source gives that really powerful example of the creator and their siblings finally confronting their abusive parent.
When they just stop being afraid.
Exactly. They reached a point of zero fear. They started defending themselves, defending each other, and suddenly the abuser completely lost power. The source of control, that deep-seated terror, was just gone. And eventually, the abuser left. You reclaim your power the moment you demonstrate you are not afraid.
Okay, moving towards safety and self-preservation. The advice gets even more provocative. Escalation. The drama queen strategy. That sounds almost risky.
It does sound provocative, yeah. But the intention is key here. It's a tactic specifically designed to make sure your safety is taken seriously. You make the cost of aggression way too high for the person doing it.
Yeah.
By never taking any physical or verbal aggression lightly, the source literally encourages listeners to be the biggest drama queen ever.
We have to talk about that anecdote, the friend who got pushed.
Oh yeah, the perfect illustration. After just a playful push, she dramatically collapses, goes down on the floor, yelling she's a heart patient, she's in pain.
Making a huge scene.
A massive scene. She didn't physically fight back. She escalated the consequence. She made the incident so huge, so potentially serious for the pusher, that they were terrified of the repercussions.
So the lesson is, don't just take it. Don't downplay it.
Exactly. Silence or downplaying aggression just makes you look like an easier target next time. You have to be so dramatic, make such a fuss, that the person genuinely fears ever touching you or crossing that line again. You prioritize your safety over appearing cool or tough.
And this connects directly to the point about involving authorities.
Right.
The source is really strong on this. Don't see telling a principal, a boss, the police, as snitching.
Absolutely not. It's not weakness, it's survival. People tragically lose their lives over bullying and harassment situations that escalate. You have to prioritize your safety, your life, above any weird social code about not telling.
And the advice is to be persistent.
Relentless. The instruction is literally, bother them, bother them, bother them, until you get the authorities, whoever they are, to act. Keep reporting it. Keep documenting. Persist, even if they brush you off at first. Using the system to protect yourself. That's an act of strength, not weakness.
Okay, but what if you are in a situation, maybe a job, a school, even a town where you bother the authorities constantly and just nothing changes? The environment itself is toxic.
Then, the source says, you change the environment. If a space is just permanently toxic, despite your best efforts, the strongest, most self-respecting choice you can make is to leave.
But doesn't that feel like running away?
The source is very firm. No, it is not running away. It's recognizing that your mental peace, your physical safety, they are non-negotiable, period. So whether that means finding a new job, switching schools, moving cities, you are prioritizing yourself. You're creating the space you need to heal.
And that healing, that's the ultimate endpoint here, isn't it? All these strategies, they really lead back to self-healing.
Absolutely. Journaling, therapy, whatever works for you. But most importantly, building that solid core of self-worth.
That makes sense.
By using these self-protective tactics, you start to internalize the source's final assessment that bullies, they're actually the weakest human beings. Kind of pathetic, really.
And the people who were bullied.
Often, they're the ones who use that fire, that experience, to become incredibly determined and successful later on. So you focus relentlessly on upgrading yourself, on healing that trauma. That's the win.
So, wrapping this up for the learner listening, this whole playbook, it really hinges on a radical shift, doesn't it? Yeah. Rejecting fear, rejecting empathy for the abuser, and just shifting focus entirely onto your own self-worth and safety.
Yeah, and using some pretty controversial but definitely actionable tactics like mirroring or even hyper-escalation when your safety is on the line.
It gives you the tools, maybe, to take back your personal agency from all that external negativity.
Exactly. It moves the center of power squarely back into your hands. You get to decide who gets your energy, your time, who even gets to exist in your world.
Okay, and as we finish, there's one last really fascinating, maybe even a bit mind-bending thought from this philosophy about haters.
Ah, yes. The source claims haters are actually so easy to manipulate.
Easy to manipulate. How does that work?
Well, think about it. Hate. It's one of the strongest emotions, right? It takes a lot of energy. Definitely. So if you can somehow inspire someone to feel that strongly about you, to hate you for basically no reason other than their own issues, their own envy, you actually possess a strange kind of massive power over their emotional state.
Never thought of it that way.
It suggests this perspective where the bully's intense emotion isn't necessarily a threat to you, but more like this highly charged resource that you can choose to either try and control, perhaps, or even better.
Just ignore it.
Completely ignore it. Let them burn themselves out on their own negativity. You just keep focusing on yourself, upgrading your life. That's the ultimate power move.